This match still without a pair of strikes for either participant.
And that's what you expect in a U.S. Open final. You want to see a grind out. You know it's coming. Don't expect 270s and 280s and 250s. It's basically survival of the fittest. Keep the ball in play, avoid open frames, make your spares, strikes will come. And it's just a grind out, Rob.
For those students out there who are having issues juggling the books and the bowling ball, Randy, try enduring what MacLelland is trying to effort right now. We'll explain when our live coverage returns to North Brunswick, New Jersey. To the Brunswick Zone Carolier, your host venue for the 68th edition of the Lumber Liquidators U.S. Open. Bill O'Neill, your defending champ, your 6th seed, in control, up 35 early on in this one. Tomorrow night, ESPN delivers, oh boy, a good one. The Knicks with Carmelo and Amari Stoudemire in action as they take on LeBron and the Heat in Miami. NBA Sunday on ESPN Live, 8 Eastern, also available online at ESPN3.com. Time now for our
The 42-foot U.S. Open oil pattern is the toughest, nastiest lubricity the players have faced all season long. Why so tough, you ask? Look at this ocean of blue. This is solid oil from gutter to gutter. This is a flat 1-to-1 ratio oil pattern, meaning that all 39 boards are oiled exactly the same. What does that mean? Simple. Hit your target with the right amount of velocity and revolutions, or pay the price. The U.S. Open oil pattern is all about shot making.
Informative, as always, Randy. The use of lubricity piqued my interest.
I first heard that word from Nelson Burton Jr., I think back in 1988 or 89.
Lubricity.
I thought I would just, I thought I would bring it back to life.
Oh, it's a good one. It's a good one. Bill O'Neill up 35 as he closes out the 6th, looking for a double.
Mr. Big Shot just doubled up. 5th and 6th frame. He's clean right now. And that's the difference in this ball game. Dan MacLelland, 3 open frames. Bill O'Neill clean through 6. What a beautiful shot right there from your defending U.S. Open champion.
Worst finish this season for O'Neill was 49th at the USBC Masters. This will be his 7th top 20 finish and 6th in the top 10. Should he win out, run the ladder from the 6th seed spot, it is going to make that Player of the Year vote awfully interesting, because that'll make it a 2-man race between Mika Koivuniemi, your 3 seed tomorrow, and that man, Bill O'Neill. Through the nose, but that will be okay.
You see that, tripping that 10 out late, it's huge. Again, leaves himself an easy 4-7 spare. This ball a little bit left to target, and again, it doesn't take a whole lot. But that's the biggie. Tripping the 10 out late, Bill O'Neill says, hey,
the reaction says it all. At the U.S. Open, you will take that.
Right now, if he converts here, Dan MacLelland has to throw a 5-bagger to take the lead.
And he only has 1 strike thus far through 6.
Tall odds on this oil pattern.
So O'Neill stays clean. Danny MacLelland steps up. Now MacLelland is still a student at Saginaw Valley State. Will graduate in May with a BA in sociology. Right now in the midst of taking 3 classes, 2 in psychology, 1 in sociology. But you guessed it, yeah, he's been missing some classes lately. Leaves the 10 pin, and Danny Mac is going to be away from Michigan for a while. He's going to head up to Buffalo, where we'll be next week, and then after that, Indianapolis for a slew of shows. So he is essentially on the road for about 3 weeks, and he says, a very understanding faculty. They have let me work through my professional dreams and also try and finish up my academic work. Not easy to take care of both of those things at the same time, particularly at this level. Again, this is a young man, Randy, who's making his first U.S. Open appearance, and he makes the TV show.
He's got game. You're going to see a lot from this player on this tour.
You know what he's done reminds me a lot of kind of the position Bill O'Neill was in a couple years ago, making a lot of TV shows, not able to get that win. You could sense this kid was on the verge of big things.
You know, the players before him, when you'd see these superstars in the making come out on tour, I remember when Marshall Holman was the king of bowling. I was a young man then, but watching Marshall was one of my favorite things to do. And then, you know, and then I came out on tour, and then the next big superstar to be was Rick Steelsmith before he got injured. And then I remember Chris Barnes coming out onto this tour and making an impact immediately. Then it's Bill O'Neill. You know, every 2, 3, 4, 5 years you get a superstar in the making. And I got to be honest, I think Dan MacLelland's going to be that guy.
Talking to Dan MacLelland on who are the guys that he watches. And he said Chris Barnes and that guy, Bill O'Neill. These are the guys that he's trying to emulate. You know?
There's so many young, exciting superstars on this tour. Let's throw Jason Belmonte in the mix.
Who's in the crowd here tonight? Michael Fagan as well.
Yeah, it's really fun to watch the new power game. Although Bill O'Neill has a lot of revs and Dan MacLelland has a lot of revs, these guys can play and they can hit targets and they can be accurate.
So O'Neill takes care of that one during this little window of a break. Randy, we have a question for you. It's your More of What Matters to You fan question, brought to you by the makers of One a Day, and comes your way from John Van Dyke of Rotterdam, New York. How much tougher is the mental aspect of the game during the U.S. Open? Good question, John.
Well, when you talk to Norm Duke, he says it's 80% mental. Some of the other players, you know, they say the same thing. However, you still have to throw the ball well. But the key to the U.S. Open is being patient. You know you're going to bowl a 170 game, a 160 game. You got to shake it off, be patient. Bide your time, avoid open frames like Bill O'Neill's doing, manage your game, but be patient. The mental grind of this is unlike any tournament we bowl on the rest of the season.
Norm Duke had a great line for us talking about the patience, saying you really have to be patient. When you get on TV, you have to even ratchet up that patience level even more. And O'Neill is being very patient. Just 3 strikes, but up 42. And he has been clean throughout, and he remains that way through 9.
I got to tell you, anything over 200 is going to bode well for any player on today's telecast as well as tomorrow. Dan MacLelland now, the best he can shoot, 193 if he strikes out. That would force Bill O'Neill to mark in the 10th frame. But Dan needs a strike here in the 9th, all 3 in the 10th, to force Bill O'Neill to show up in the 10th frame.
Didn't like it. And another nasty
Surprised they got either of that.
split.
And again, it's tough. These players bowled 16 games already today, not counting practice. The grind of this tournament all week long, 50 total games to this point. And again, it doesn't take much. And unfortunately for Dan MacLelland, he's paid the ultimate price every time he's missed.
No, that's a good point. Norm Duke and Tommy Jones and Mika Koivuniemi very happy that they have the night off to recoup and get their game together. On the flip side, Ryan Schaefer, who was in the 3rd spot heading into the final game of the day, the position round game, and he dropped from 3rd to 4th, which meant that the 44-year-old had to bowl tonight. And that certainly agitated him. And he's in shape. He can handle it. But boy, would he like a night off.
You know, I think the other thing in looking at what's happening to Dan MacLelland, you have to ask yourself,
right now.
Suffering from a bout of food poisoning from last night and only 2 hours of sleep, how tough has that been on him today?
Yep.
Is he out of gas?
Very good point. So his game today is out of gas. It is done. It is empty. Bill O'Neill, your 6th seed, will move on to take on 4 seed Ryan Schaefer. This is 13th TV appearance at a major, but the New Yorker has yet to win one at a major.